and welcome back YouTube. Welcome to another video. As you can see, we've got a lot more space and we can work inside nice and comfortably. I have got used to not seeing the other bike when I come in, but as I said, I was excited about the new journey with this because the A1P hasn't really been on camera apart from introductions. There's been really no service work, but it is past the service because I normally service the bikes every year or 1,000 miles. Now when I bought this bike it had 1,900 miles on the clock and I was servicing there every 500 miles just to get all the metal out, basically treating it like a new engine. Now because of me focused on the J2, it wasn't doing the mileage and I wasn't going to insure it, so the last time I started it was October. That's when it was due a service and I thought there's no point in me servicing it if I'm not going to run it. I thought it was a waste of money, so inside my sheets where I keep all my service history I just wrote a note of the mileage date of the day basically that I took it off the road. So this is the other reason that these bikes need to be used. I went to start the bike, I had no problem with the battery because I keep it on an optimizer. It started finally on I think 2 cylinders. It took quite a while for the third and fourth, literally just had to leave it, and what I've been doing over the last couple of days is just starting it and it's starting absolutely fine. We're all back to normal, but what we need to do is a service, and just to explain some another reason for this, and also for my regular viewers or people that are running or about 98 to 02 bikes, these bikes currently haven't got certificates for ULEZ, and that is my these next series of videos are really building up towards that. So for a good ULEZ result we need a regularly serviced bike and a clean burn. So we're doing oil and filter today. I've not picked up the plugs, but I'm going to be putting new plugs in. I could just take the iridiums out and clean them. They've probably done I think about 1,500 miles. I mean it's ridiculous, but I'm going to probably put standard ones in, but I'll talk about that later, about what I've heard about iridiums and non-iridiums, and this is purely to get it through ULEZ testing, and I will go into that in more detail in another video. So this video, oil and filter. Next video is going to be spark plugs. I may do air filter in this video as well, depending on how we go, because a lot of people just do oil and filter change and just get it done nice and quickly. So enough chat like I do, let's get into it and let's see what tools we need to do the job. Cheers guys, let's move on. Right guys, so first of all you're going to need something to drain the oil into. Okay, you're obviously going to need some oil, 4 litres. I have used 10 watt 30 before. Recommended is 10 watt to 40, so put 10 watt 40 in. I just experiment with different stuff. You're going to need an oil filter as well. Okay, and sorry about the flashing, there's nothing I can do about it. It's the lights in the garage, they're LED lights, but for some reason it still flashes. So I use high flow oil filters, and it's just a HF303. Best thing to do is when you look on eBay or whatever, just tap in HF303. Don't matter what make of bike it comes up for or whatever, that is the one for it. I always have a funnel so I can pour the oil in. Now you're going to need something to take off the left hand fairing. My bolts are all now just 4mm, but they used to be 4mm and 3mm, and some of them are 4mm and a posi screwdriver. So you just need the tools to take off your side fairing. sump plug. To take that off, you're going to need one of these. You're going to need a torque wrench as well. It's done up to 20 Newton meters. Sometimes what I do is I nip it and then check it after running, and if it's not done, just nip it a little more. But the actual torque setting is 20 Newton meters. The other thing you're going to need before you even take it off is make sure you've got new sump washers. I normally buy them in loads. At the end of the day, as long as it's a crush washer, that's absolutely fine. They were what's supplied off of eBay when I ordered a load. Plus also I've got a new magnetic bolt, and because I can't remember whether I put one on, so I've got one always as spare. So that's all we need. We're just going to do oil and filter in this video, and then I'm going to do fuel filter, air filter, and plugs in the next one. Let's crack on. Now it's at this point of the video I talk about my nuts. As I've said many times before, I'm not a professional nut fiddler. Why I learnt to play with my nuts is I went on YouTube and watched lots of people playing with their nuts. I thought that looks like so much fun. I'm going to play with my nuts too. Now if you want to play with your nuts, you can. However, if you damage your nuts, if you twist your nuts, if you snap one of your nuts off, you have to remember they're your responsibility. They're your nuts. Now, if you're not comfortable playing with your own nuts, take them to a professional, pay them some money, and they will happily play with your nuts for you. Remember, always check your nuts. So, first thing we need to do is get left-hand side fairing off. Now, as I said, I've changed mine to 4mm bolts, but you're going to have 3 here. You're going to have a bolt here. You're either going to have a bolt or a screwdriver down there. Can't remember which one that is. You've got a bolt here that's 4mm and a bolt here that's 4mm. So what I'm going to do first is just double check which one this is, and that is a screw. So I do need a posi. I'm glad I checked that, otherwise it would have been hanging off. So I'm just going to use my posi drive first. So quick Timmy top tip. If you're taking bolts out, like we're doing on the fairing, you'll see that I've put all of the fairing bolts all in one pot, all aside, and I've even put the tools in there that I've used to take it off. All this is a little ice cream tub. Don't throw them away, wash them out. Gives you more excuse to go and buy more ice cream. Also, we've got coffee jar. Once that's empty, clear that out. I've got actually brake cleaning fluid in here, so if any bolts that I take out that have got a lot of muck or gunk on, I can literally just put in now, leave them in while I'm doing the work on the bike, and then come back to them and then just dry those off. So that's just a quick Timmy top tip. Cheers guys. And we get that one off. So let's zoom ahead. Let's get these bolts off. Okay, so once that's you've undone all of those bolts, just double check that, because this one's always a little bit stuck. Get that one out. Now, there's 2 points in which it clips together to the middle part. There's a bit here and a bit here. Now that's why I like to wear gloves. What I do is I get my glove and hand inside. I run it up inside and then use my thumb to pop it away. And I'm going to show you those connections once this comes out, because then you'll understand what you're doing. Let's bring that round. So you've got this one, which was the top one, and this one here. They're the rubber grommets, in which, let's just put that down. these parts, and let's get a close up on those. So these parts here, they are what's clipping and keeping that side fairing on, all nice and tidy with the middle. And the same with the bottom. You've just got like a little screw part that the screw goes into. Nice and easy. Let's get back to it. Next thing we want to do, get our drainage oil pan, whatever. And to be honest, for the amount of money that these are, it is worth buying a specific one that's got like a little bit that you can get rid of the oil later. Okay, we're just going to go underneath. I'm going to make sure it's set on remove, and you've got your bolt just underneath here. Let's have a zoom in so you know which one you're taking off properly. So here we go, just underneath on the sump, the lowest point, we see we've got a bolt just here. Okay, and that's the one that we want to undo. Right, so I've come down a little bit lower, just trying to get you in now. We've got our 17mm. Make sure we're nicely on it. Don't try and do it half-heartedly. Make sure you do not want to strip this bolt. And this is why I say make sure you are on removing. Don't tighten this up, because you will strip the bolt, sorry, you will strip the thread, and you're in a world of hurt, because I can't remember the material, but this is quite soft, and that's going to be a sump off to try and have that done. So not sure it, God, yeah, that is tight. So the other thing that I've done as well is I have taken the bike outside and I've put it up to temperature. So I'm just going to quickly just change my glove, because I don't like getting that one oily. Now, as I say, I've actually taken the bike outside and warmed it up. So I've got it up to temperature. I've actually got it up to 60 degrees. Now the reason for that, and then let the bike stand, the reason for that is that then the oil will come out much easier and just flow straight out. Okay, now me personally, I now walk away and I leave that for about 10-15 minutes to get everything out. And so, also what I'll do is sometimes I take it off of the rear stand just to level it off to make sure everything is out. Let's just watch that fall out, because it's mildly satisfying. Bubbles. It's just a smooth calmness of oil falling out. And it actually doesn't actually look too bad, although that looks dark. I can still see the colour in it. Yeah, lovely. Oh, now I want to have a wee. I better stop. Ah, mummy. So, here we have, this is the original, and this is my magnetic one. I'm going to put this in a bag because I like keeping all the original stuff. I'm going to get that washer off, that seems to be quite stuck on. And I'm going to use this magnetic one just to, I mean, I can always swap back, but I'll use this magnetic one for now. And we just wipe it clean. Now with this, what I like to do is I like to nip them. As I say, you can, the actual torque is 20 Newton meters, but I like to just nip them and then check it, because I still think sometimes they're not calibrated right, or they're calibrated to the best of their ability, and I'm so wary of that that I prefer to do it up loose, maybe weep a little. I keep an eye on it, it weeps, and then I just nip it a little bit more, and like so. So I just keep an eye on it. Right, let's move on to the oil filter. So, got the oil filter. I've not tried to take this off, but I personally do them up hand tight. I don't use a tool to do them up personally. So, let me see if I can get this off just by twisting it by hand. Yeah, I can feel it's coming off. Now, I'm just going to pause there, and we'll just pause, and I'm going to come back. Might be a second. Okay, so we're back with another Timmy top tip. You've obviously got these oil filter wrenches. Now, sometimes they don't fit properly. Sometimes you can't get the back end in. Now, it just so happens that I have got a wrench, and that's why I use the high flow ones, because I know that they'll always fit onto here. Now, another tip, if you cannot get it off, a lot of people will stick a screwdriver through and then start turning it. The problem is if it's the first time you've ever taken it off, you don't really know how much it's screwing on, so you are taking a risk. If you get yourself a big C-clip, oh, I can't think what they're called, it's not a C-clip, but it's a, oh my good God, one of them. And I'll put it up on screen of what it is. And basically, if you tighten it so it's gripping it, then if you take your screwdriver, I mean, you could even still take, I said screwdriver, but you could even just take this off, keep that on, rubber mallet, and tap it off like so. Okay, so you're not then destroying anything, and you know really what you're doing, and you can tighten that up quite tight. So it crushes that, and you know that it's held on. That's why I prefer using like the socket set for the thing that I can't remember what I've put round it, but I keep one in my tool. One of them. There you go. One of them. Get one of them. Whatever they're called. Yeah, brilliant. I wonder whether you could use that as an ad. Yeah, these are brilliant. Buy one of them. There you go. Alright guys, Timmy's top tip of buying one of them. So we've got our old filter off, cleaned that basically up, and that's thrown away. We've got our new oil filter. Now, we've got our oil. What I like to do is just put a little bit of oil just inside here, okay? Not too much, just a little bit. And also, I don't know whether it's old school, whether it does make a difference, because now they have like this grease around it. I like to smear a little bit of oil just round here so it seats nicely. So let's do that way round. Oh, it looks golden, this stuff. Now the reason I used this was purely because they were doing it as a deal, and I wanted to try out liquid moly, because they pretty much sponsor all the GP and all of that vajazzle. So I just wanted to try it, and yeah, long story short, the company who supplied it, they took, well, it didn't arrive for 6 weeks. They then refunded me my money. It then arrived, so I then phoned them up and said it's arrived, but I don't actually want it because I've now bought other oil. And they said, well, we can do it at a discounted rate. I said, well, no. I mean, to be honest, they were useless, the company. and I done everything possible, and I wrote basically, I can't remember the whole thing, but I ended up getting it for free. They ended up just giving it to me and refunding me my money, so I'm going to use it. The normal stuff that I use is Motul. Now the 5100 is the minimum that I would put in, because they do a 5000. It's 10 watt to 40, but they do a 7000, and then they do the V300, which is fully synthetic. So if you really want to treat your bike, you can go for the 7000. And the only reason that I say that is because these are semi-synthetic oils, where the V300 is fully, yes, it is fully synthetic. And some people say that the clutch will slip with that. I don't know. I have had V300 in the J2 at one point. I didn't find it ran any better. It was a couple of years ago, but that has just got ridiculously expensive. I mean, we're talking like £65 for 4 litres, which is just a joke. And I'm not sponsored by any oil companies or anything. I've used Silk Clean, but I just thought I'd try the liquid moly, and I do, pardon me, normally use 1040, but I'm not bothered about the 1030. So this, I'm literally just doing up hand tight until it stops and my wrist buckles and it hurts. So we'll stop there. I then get a fresh bit of kitchen roll and I clean all around it. Now, the reason that I like to keep it clean is because I'm OCD, plus also if there is a leak, you can see it straight away and you know where it's coming from. Okay, so that's the oil filter done, and that's the plug done. Can now dispose of this, and we can start putting some oil in the bike. Let's get on with it. So I'm not sure whether you can see this, but just on the side it shows you how much oil you should be using. So it says filter not removed, so that's obviously if you're just doing an oil change without the filter. It's 3.4 litres. Filter removed, 3.6 litres. Completely dry, 4 litres. Now we've got a sight glass here, and we've got a minimum and a maximum, and the bike needs to be level when you look at that. So it's got to come off the paddock stand, go on the side stand, and then you bring it up level. Now, one of the main things I generally do is I will put around about 3.6 in, and then I'll start the bike up. I'll let it run, and then I'll get it up to temperature, and then I leave it for a bit and let all of the oil come back down, and then top up to where I need to be. I generally find I use between 3.8 and 4 litres. Now whether that's because I leave it for such a long time for it to drip out, I'm not quite sure, but that is what I do, or that is how much I generally have to put in now. So what we're going to do, I'm just going to move the camera back. I'm just getting me funnel ready and me oil ready. And another thing that I use is a plastic jug, so I can measure out the amount of oil that I'm putting in, so I know exactly how much is going in rather than just looking at the side of the oil bottle. Okay, let's get on with this. So it's worth getting one of these plastic jugs from, I don't know, from Sano's or whatever when you're out shopping, buying your weekly shop. Or you can take the missus one, which I normally do, and then she'll buy another one automatically because she says it's not coming back in the house. So that's always a good way of getting one. Literally, I'm trying to do this up so you can see. I normally have it down on the floor, pour it out. Actually need to get a bit more angle on it. So we're pouring it out. That light's just going to unscrew cap. We've got our first litre to go in. Every time I put the bleeding funnel down, it picks up rubbish. So just try to get all the crap out of it. There we go. And again, there's something very satisfying about putting oil in. Looks a bit golden, this one. So there we have one. And there's the second litre. Here we go with number 3. I'm actually going to put 3/8 in it, just because I know from experience how much I end up having to put in. Also, I don't know whether their recommendations there are when you're not starting the engine to run it out, whether they just say open it up, because obviously if you are starting the bike up to thin the oil out so it runs out easier, there is that risk of it being hot. So do they say don't do that, so if someone burns their hands? It reminds me I'll have to put a big warning sign up when I undo that and edit in the video. Don't burn your hand. Another Timmy top tip. Yeah. Hurty. Burny. Right. So, there we go. 3.8 in. Well, what we'll do, so we give that a minute, let it settle down. We'll have a look at the level. Now I'm going to take it outside and start it up. Alright guys. So just brought the bike outside. Haven't started it up yet. But as you can see, we are pretty near to full with 3.8 in now. Please I didn't put the 4 litres in there now. So yeah, I think if I was to do that again, I might just drop a little bit out of that. So yeah, 3.6 is normally 3.6, 3.8. Sometimes I've had to put 4 litres in to even get it to register. So yeah, there we go. Yeah, I'll drop some of that out. That's quite easy to do. Literally just undo it, drop a bit out, and then just do it up. A bit messy, but it is what it is. That's my own fault. So put 3.6 in, as it says on the side. There you go. What's experience? So this is why we watch YouTube videos, to have a good old laugh when somebody else makes a mistake. Yeah, that's a little bit strange, that. I must admit, 'cause I generally 3.8. As I say, sometimes I've had to put 4 litres in, but I'm not happy with that because that's right up to the top. So I'm just gonna drop it out, and I wanted to add it in so you can basically see how bloody messy it is. Plus also, if you do it yourself, and again, the other thing is a lot of people will say you need to put another crush washer on there. I will just keep an eye on that basically. So all I'm going to do is try and time this really well, and I wonder whether I can put the jug underneath and see how much I take out. I really want the jug underneath that before let's see how much oil I spill. So let's get that right up. Don't want to take too much out, but it's just too much in now. That weren't bad. Okay, so I would say I've taken too much out, but we can now check and do it the right way. Timmy's top tip is do it the right way first. Yeah, so next time I think what I'll do is I'll do 3.6 and then check it. The amount of times I've done oil changes and I've put 3.8 in, it's become the norm, and I have no idea why it wasn't this time. Hey ho, life goes on. Still looks rather clean. Cool guys, let's check it, move on. So sorry about that, battery just run out. What I've done is I dropped about 250-300 mil out, so it was actually about 280 I think it was, and I put it back to 3650 I've ended up putting in. So let's just check that. So that keeps it halfway, and that's absolutely fine. So that's just me holding it. So yeah, let's in all seriousness, let's put 3.6 in it and then work up from there, and then you can always check it, make sure it's okay. Now I have been told that these older bikes do burn some oil, so it is always worth keeping an eye and keeping a check on them. Literally just moving back and just gonna cleaned up. We're going to pop that on. I'm just going to take it outside and I'm going to start it just while I tidy up in here, and then we'll be back on the camera, and then we can just tidy up, do our checks, make sure the filter's not leaking, make sure the sump plug's not leaking, and yeah, okay, let's move on. So guys, we are back with the fairing. Now what I wanted to just show you is these clips again, because this is probably the hardest bit to get in. So I start off with bringing the fairing to it, sort of like putting them behind. Then you can kind of feel where It's very hard to do it when the camera's there because I need to get my head round. You can generally get your head round, so I'm doing it by feel. Once it's in position, close together, that's actually gone in. Then go around for the second one. It's not quite aligned, and then that's popped in. Once they're popped in, that's it. Basically will hold. Now at that point you don't do anything up tight, okay? Do them loose, but just what you want to do is just get them in. I always like to get the top held one in. Get these three in. I get those three in, and then the longest one comes from here, and I like to get this one in because you can just do that up a little bit and that will hold it. Then get my screwdriver, because it's still quite loose, and let me just bring that down. Make sure that this is all lipped over properly and in position, and underneath tucks in underneath here. Now I can't show you that, but you'll see how it's meant to, basically it interlocks with each other like so. Once that's done, you can get your screw and you'll instantly feel it holding. What I like to do is make sure that's squared off and just do that up. I normally do that one up first, tight. Once we've done that, we're going to come back. I've got my bottom one that comes under here. Again, just loosely. So the only one tight at the moment is at that bottom fairing. Can't see because of the light. Sorry, the light beaming up is causing me not to be able to see it properly to where I'm meant to be going. That's it. Right there. There we go. Right. So they're all now on, but it's loose. Personally, what I like to do is I like to bring that close, so it looks nicer. I like to bring that in. So if I just move these down a bit so they're not super tight. So that one's getting tight. Middle one I don't worry about too much. I basically push that up. That's going to come out. It's because I can't get around now. Now what I'm doing is I'm using my knee to push into it. Just doing that up. Don't want to do it too tight. So they're done. And notice I'm just nipping them at the moment. These two are the main ones that really hold it on. So I just do them up. That's it. We're all back on. Right, let's have a last chat. So that's it, job done. Something I didn't show off screen. What I do is I always keep my old bottles aside, so the old stuff I can then funnel away. Yeah, that then obviously goes down the tip. new stuff, all my new stuff is kept here. I'll keep this to the side. That will, if I'm burning any oil, I obviously keep an eye on it and can top it up. What I didn't show off screen is I started the bike up with the fairing off before we put that back on. Checked and made sure that there was no leaks coming from the oil filter or the plug. And I also do that after during my first run and after my first run. I always check it, and that's why I try and keep it clean, so then you know if anything's coming off. So, oil and filter, really simple to do. There's no reason for you to be taking that into a garage. Filters, I buy filters, I buy multiples of them. The last lot I've just bought, 5 of them, cost 28 quid. Someone with a calculator, please work that out, because I can't. Then oil, this oil, if you're going to put 5,100 in it, keep checking on eBay. Sometimes they do 4 litres plus 1, sometimes they do 4 litres plus a filter. That can range between 30 and 40 quid. The 7,000 is generally about 50 quid. This kind of stuff will cost you 50 quid as well. And I have actually, sugar, I've also used, it had silk clean in it beforehand. That's what just come out of it. Okay, but again, this kind of stuff, and that is, I've gone back to, this is fully synthetic, so I've gone back to semi-synthetic. That kind of stuff is just getting ridiculously expensive and probably over the top. You know, 40 or 50 quid for engine oil is absolutely fine, especially the amount that I'm changing it. So next video, we're going to do fuel filter, air filter, plugs. Okay, cheers guys, and remember, these are your responsibility. Make sure you're checking your nuts. All right, cheers guys.